Now, President Akufo-Addo has given yet another verbal assurance his government will stop the illegal mining menace. He says no government in Ghana's history has embarked on a rigorous galamsey fight than his government. He was speaking at the Mensah Palace in Kumasi at the start of a 4-day tour of the Ashanti region. Ohiming Teria has more in the following report.
President Akufo-Addo was at the Mensah Palace to seek the blessings of the Asante Hene to begin a 4-day working tour in the Ashanti region. According to President Akufo-Addo, no government has shown that resilience in the fight against galamsey than his. President Akufo-Addo told the Asante Hene and his chiefs the public discussion the galamsey menace has generated in recent times explains the importance Ghanaians attach to the issue.
So-called galamsey. Asame baname tese kan for kan galamsey ho asem. Mabe matiso bia nananom so kan obi. Aye kan galamsey no asem. We say adwuma no ko anim no because amanfo nyina so ne e kan asem ho a na no na betumi amehu kwan e betumi afa so etumi abrɛ nase.
Earlier, President Akufo-Addo attended the ordination service of 3 ministers at the St. Cyprian's Anglican Church in Kumasi. He will inspect ongoing government projects and also commission some completed ones. Among them are the Buankra Inland Port, the Komfanochi Teaching Hospital Mother and Baby Unit, accommodation for Court of Appeal judges, and the Phase 2 of the Central Market Project. He also cut sword for the Agenda 111 Hospital project at Kokobi near Apiedu in the Oforikro municipality. President Akufo-Addo is also expected to cut sword for the new Swami Interchange project. From Kumasi, for JoyNews, Ohiming Teria reporting.
Intimidated and frustrated, and yet left with no option. That's the story of Joyce Wawonyo at Apenamine, a small community in the eastern region where illegal mining is beginning to take shape. Illegal miners have dug around her house in a bid to intimidate and force her out of her own land. My colleague Michael Ashley met her while touring some illegal mining site in that area with the Christian Council. There's more in the following report.
Epinaman is a small community east of Asamankese in the eastern region. Like many communities, illegal mining is wreaking havoc, and Epinaman is not spared. Joyce Wawonyo lives far in the Epinaman forest. She's witnessed the terrible effects of illegal mining firsthand. The miners first offered to buy her out of the land. She refused, and now they are threatening her.
One day, the miners came and asked me to pack out. I refused, so they excavated the land around us. They made a circle around my house, destroying my farmland. I put all my energy into that farm. Now, my family and I don't even know what to do.
Joyce is now 43 years old with 5 children. She says her experience with illegal miners was scary.
The miners threatened me many times. They even told me that they had already bought the land from someone. I still didn't move. There are days I'll be cooking in my kitchen and they'll be digging just in front of me. I need help.
Joyce is not alone. In the Pinaman forest, many households are seen abandoned with the land all destroyed. Chief of the area, Osa Berima Owariasari Pinkro III says activities of illegal mining are getting out of hand.
I am helpless. Okoche Galamsa wang ayo awang kata soa ubesu. Sebitua meminka. I will not be part of it. I will never be part of it. And see, you can't drink any water. You can't drink it. The streams and all this are all polluted. You can't.
Oh, mine sereye yo. Oh, mine sereye yo. Oh, sana hose. Oh, ma fobra neche.
Members of the Ghana Christian Council also visited the area to assess the level of devastation caused by illegal mining as they prepare to take a stand against activities of galamsey.
It is greed and selfishness is what is killing us. And this will appeal to the church, will appeal to the mosque, will appeal to everybody, politicians, and everyone. That look, let us be concerned.
Are we a serious nation? Do we have leadership? Do we have institutions? Do we have Christians in this area? I am really overwhelmed and I need to weep. It is better late than never.
So for me, I'm calling on our leaders to lead. Somebody will have to control these young men in the galamsey industry. Somebody will have to educate them, and they will stop. But where there are no leadership, then things go way.
For them, there's nothing prayer can't resolve.
That which is wrong. We are guilty of raping and destroying.
For JoyNews, Michael Ashale.
Oh Lord, heal our nation. Your word says that if our people will humble.
You're watching the news desk here on the JoyNews channel. Now, the chief of Kofori community in the Yonyo Naswan district has blamed inadequate teachers and poor teaching and learning materials for the low performance of pupils in the BC within the district. The chief has said that the lack of qualified teachers and inadequate logistics, such as textbooks and furniture across public schools in the district, contribute significantly to poor academic performance, as most of the pupils are not able to complete topics in the syllabus before they sit for their final examination. The chief therefore wants the government to extend social infrastructure such as roads and electricity to communities and improve teaching and learning materials in schools in the district to help reverse the trend. He was speaking at the donation of mathematical sets and other examination tools to this year's BC candidate in the Kofori and Tema basic schools. Correspondent Elias Tanko has more.
People's performance at the Basic Education Certificate examination in the Northeast region remains poor and worrying. No public school in the region has ever performed up to 50% pass rate in the BEC. The situation is even more dire in the more rural areas, such as the Yunyo Naswani district, where over 70% of pupils in public basic schools cannot read or write. The district placed at the bottom in last year's BEC ranking in the region, with a large number of candidates scoring hugely below the national average. With just a day until this year's Basic Education Certificate examination, we traveled to the district to monitor the preparation of candidates and what could be accounting for the decline in academic performance. Our journey took us to the farming community of Kofori, one of the poorest and hard-to-reach communities in the district, located near Tema along the Gbintiri-Nakpanduri road. The community has no road and most often is unreachable during the dry season. It also has no electricity and other basic necessities to attract qualified public service personnel for its development. The community, however, can boast of a primary and junior high school blocks and has been presenting candidates for the BEC since 2015. Yet these candidates, like many of their colleagues in other communities in the district, continue to perform poorly. The chief of the community blamed the phenomenon on the poor conditions under which the school children study both at home and in school.
For the past years, there were no teachers for the junior high school. The primary side is only 2 teachers handling the whole from KG to P6, and it's a challenge. In terms of development, our children have there's no lights in the school. In the night, the children are roaming. Because of lack of lights, they don't have a place to study. Look at our block. It's all cracked. No furniture. No textbooks. All the roofing are leaking. It needs rehabilitation. So we are pleading to the government to come to our aid to rehabilitate our only education facility we have here, and then look at the road you came through. If a pregnant woman is suffering to deliver tonight, we have to send her to the nearest health facility.
The school is presenting about 23 candidates for this year's exams. Some of the candidates said they were not confident about their readiness for the exams on Monday because they did not have enough teachers and textbooks.
We need a reading book, and we also need a borehole in our school. We need chairs also.
This time we didn't have lights, and we didn't have masters. Our school is not good, so we need masters.
As part of measures to tackle the phenomenon of poor BCE performance, the candidates in Kufori and Tema communities were given mathematical set and other resources ahead of the start of the exams on Monday. The items, including sanitary pads, were presented to the district education authorities by a native of the district, Charles Ningram. In an interview with JoyNews, he said the donation was a way of giving back to his community and an effort to improve the performance of BCE candidates in the district.
Education is the key to eradicate poverty. Education is the key to eradicate diseases. Education is the key and panacea to development. So in that case, if you invest in education, it means that you are investing in the community, you are investing in the society, which is a good cause. If all of us are well enlightened and we are well educated, these tribal disputes, land issues, witchcrafty issues, which are predominantly raising their ugly heads in our community and the society at large, will be curtailed.
From Kufori, Ilyasu Tanko, reporting for JoyNews.
All right, now the 2022 Basic Education Certificate Examinations, BEC, commences Monday, October 17, which is today. Now, the examinations will take place at 2,038 centers across the country. A total of 552,776 candidates from 18,501 schools will be sitting for the exams. This is 3.48% less than the 2021 entry figure of 572,167. The number comprises 276,988 males and 275,288 females. For this year, both public schools and private candidates are sitting for examinations at the same time. In a statement issued ahead of the exams, the West African Examination Council, WAEC, said it decided to organize the exams for both private and public school candidates this year as a result of the consistently low entries for the private candidate over the years. Meanwhile, a family of an 18-year-old boy with cerebral palsy has raised concern over the decision by the West African Examination Council, WAEC, not to make provisions for him to write his basic education certificate examination, which commenced Monday. Jarawura Karl Abaga's condition had been raised in a letter to the council on a special need to enable him write the exams, but in a letter dated 30th September 2022 to the school, the council said they could not provide him with a computer to write the exams. The council also added that additional time would not be added for him to complete his examination. But considering his condition, the family thinks it is not fair for their son.
We are here at Carl's home in Burushe in the Sanergo municipality. Carl lives here with his parents and siblings and grandma. Carl is currently with a grandma. We are here to understand the challenge he's facing and why he thinks that the West African Examination Council should address the challenge.
Carl was born with cerebral palsy, a condition that leads to a lifetime disability affecting his ability to move and sustain balance. Grandma Great Rujaru explains how it all happened.
For 4 years, the child is even sit down. They can't walk. But the leg is, the neck is laid down like that. And the saliva is flowing. He can't talk. He can't walk. She can't, the hand cannot go for the mouth. So I just take the child running everywhere, every church, every prayer, anything and do for the child. Till for about another 4 years. That means 8 years before child to get up, start walking. So now she left the boy going back for the school. She didn't be able to go like her fellow friends.
Carl is revising because his examination begins tomorrow, but he does that in the midst of worry because his hand continues to shake anytime he tries to write, and that is a serious worry to him.
My challenge is my handwriting. I find it difficult to write in class. Then I know the answer, but I have to write. That's my challenge, and I'm my picking. So I want the world to support me in terms of my business examination to allow me to use computer to write. I'll be very grateful if they really accept it. Because of my handwriting, like by now I've been a of by now complete. My other junior brother that follow me, William.
He has an ambition to become an IT specialist in future.
I want to become an IT guru in future.
Okay.
Like website design and hardware repairing.
How have your performance been?
Yeah. And the last time I was 8th out of 44. Yeah, 8 out of 44. Yeah.
Amehi Mauto is Carl's brother. He is worried that the West Africa Examination Council is not addressing the issues his brother is facing, even though they have written through the school to the council.
Sometimes school should write correcting, but because of her handwriting, we think that it's wrong. And because of the maths, the maths, the calculation part and the working part. So that's why we are pleading with the WIC to help my brother Carl to use the computer. If only they can provide, like, they can provide a computer or something that can help them to write fast in the exams.
I have in my hand here a correspondence received from the West African Examination Council detailing how Carl will write his examination. The council says Carl will have to bear the responsibility of providing himself a computer. No additional time will be added to him to write. But the concern here is, how does he get a computer? How does he get all the characters in it? Carl has just today to finalize his preparations for the BEC exams tomorrow. Grandma is asking, how can he pass if additional time is not given? And how can he pass if he hasn't got the requisite equipment to aid him to write? This is a discussion they expect to go on. It will make it easier for him to write and probably other children elsewhere to have their examination written in comfort. For Joy News, Martina Bugri reporting.
Well, joining us with more into this matter is our Northern Regional Correspondent, Martina Bugri. Martina, what more do we know of this matter, especially when the exams is starting?
Yes, so what the parents did for him today was to get him a laptop to go with it. And they are hoping that at least they would have some sympathy on him and give him some extra time, even if they don't allow him to use the laptop. But from the correspondent, he's expected to use the laptop if he has his own. And so now that he has his own, he believes that he'll be allowed to write with the computer. But the challenge here is when it comes to mathematics and Dagbani, he's unable to use the computer to do the graphs and diagrams. That's what he tells me. And so that is the challenge that he would be facing. When it comes to Dagbani, there are some alphabets that are not on the keyboard for the laptop, and so it gets difficult for him. So he's pleading that if they can have some little time added to him, so that it will help him to be able to write, because he believes that he's not stupid, he has the brains and can pass, but he would only fail if additional time is not added. And the problem here is when he's writing, the hand keeps shaking. So he probably would want to write an A, but because the hand is shaking, he ends up writing the 0 or an O. And that is the challenge he thinks that the West African Examination Council should help address so that he'll be able to pass. He believes that he can really pass if he's aided.
All right, thank you very much. But let's stay a bit longer on this particular matter and find out how people in the education sector make of this development. Kofi Asare is the executive director for the Africa Education Watch, and he joins us on Zoom with some perspective. Again, also on Zoom is Hannah Awaji, who is a Special Mothers Project, someone from the Special Mothers Project. Now, to you, Kofi Asare, let me start with you. What do you make of what's happening? How do you think WAEC could have responded in a better way to this boy's concerns?
Good morning. I find the situation very, very disturbing and unfortunate. It flies in the face of government's own inclusive education policy, which seeks to provide opportunities for all children, including those with learning disabilities and all forms of disabilities, to access, complete the full course of basic and secondary education. Bear in mind that completing basic education includes undertaking your final external assessment, which is a BCE. So everything about the whole story flies on the face of government's commitment to inclusive education. I must admit that this is not a WAEC issue. It is the Ghana Education Service that must work with WAEC to ensure that the facilities required by their learners who are going to be assessed by WAEC are available. WAEC may not have the capacity to provide all this equipment because the student is not a WAEC student. The GES is aware that this student is one of their students and that they need that particular support. And so I think it is important for us not to just blame WAEC, but then situate it within the doorstep of the agency who Ghanaians pay to ensure that quality education is delivered to both children who are not disabled and those who are disabled. And that is why I think that this is a GES problem.
So going forward, in order not to have this repeat in future, what should change?
I think that it has been repeating too many times, you know, and I think that we need to get public interest lawyers to sue on such matters. It is becoming too many, you know, in a day, and we keep saying that what will happen to prevent this from recurring, and the next year it occurs. So I think that we need to test the law. We need to sue one of these two institutions, especially the GES, on the basis that it's a public institution that is reneging if not being laxic, in the performance of their legally mandated duty of ensuring that all children, irrespective of disability, have access to and complete the full cycle of basic and secondary education, which includes being given an opportunity to be externally assessed by the examining body. Let me indicate that WAEC, in saying that they will not give the candidate extra time, also smacks of insensitivity and discrimination. That particular line in the letter does not assure of a fair treatment of all candidates. That principle that all candidates must be treated fairly is breached, because there must be an equitable application of the rule of fairness, such that you are not going to judge an elephant based on how fast it's able to climb a tree, just because you are competing. It is competing with a monkey. So by saying that you can find your computer, but you are not going to be given extra time, is the height of insensitivity and disrespect for basic rules of fairness in assessment. And I think that WAEC should take a second look at that decision.
All right, I'm grateful. Now, let me bring in Hannah Waji, because she is from the Special Mothers Project, and this falls directly in their domain. Now, the issue is about his time will not be extended. What do you think WAEC should do in the moment when we are being told that this person has difficulty even in writing letters? What should be the thing that WAEC should do now?
I have been confused just listening to the story, because I know students in Accra who have applied for concessions and they've been given. So the GES rule says that every child with special needs go through an assessment before you write any major exams. And when you are assessed, you are given what they call accommodation in GES terms. So this accommodation includes being able to be given extra time. And I know students who have been given extra time years back to write their BEC or their WASI. But even taking my mind back, I always refer to Farida Bedrie, who is now an celebrated IT person with cerebral palsy in Ghana, who says that way back in the 90s, she was allowed to work with a computer to write the BEC and pass. So what has gone wrong? I feel confused, because I am a parent of a child with cerebral palsy, and these things are much dried in my face. I see it every day. My child is frustrated out of school because someone thinks that they are not intelligent, which is not the case. And I feel that the Ministry of Education should act on this. The policies are hanging. We keep referring to the inclusive education policy. We keep referring to the inclusive education policy and saying all beautiful things about it, but on the ground, nothing is working. 80% of children with cerebral palsy are not in schools. They are not admitted. They are outrightly rejected. You don't find them in schools. So someone like Carl gives me hope that, someone could go through to this level, only to hear a story that he's been frustrated not to write an exam. I am sad. And I feel the Minister of Education should act immediately to get him to write the exams comfortably.
Okay. So what do you think should change in the moment the exams are started?
They should allow him extra time. Ideally, they should provide him with a computer to be able to write, but if he's able to find his own laptop and go there, he should be encouraged to use the laptop if that makes it comfortable. In developed countries, people are moving away from writing with pens and pencils. And here we are, 21st century, still thinking that a child who is unable to write because of a condition that affects his motor skills should be denied writing examination. We are behind, and something should be done fast. Someone should communicate to WAEC. GES should stand up right now and communicate to allow the boy to write the examination. This is so frustrating.
Okay, I'm grateful to you, Hannah Waji, for the time you had to join us here. Now, let's take you to the Upper West region and speak to Rafiq Salam on how things are panning out in the region with regards to the BEC. Rafiq, how's the BEC taking shape in your region?
Took off in the Upper West region. We are having a total population of candidates, about 13,321 candidates will be taking part in this year's exams, comprising of 6,592 boys. The girls a little bit higher, 6,729. And so we are dealing with a lot of sentences in the Upper West region, and it's taking place in all 11 administrative, municipal, and districts in the Upper West region.
I guess the exams are started. Do we have any eventuality there?
For now, we don't have any eventuality. But what happened this morning, I was at one of the centers at Wa Senior High Technical School, where over a dozen of schools come there, and that's where they are going to write the BEC examination. And when I was there in the morning, I saw some of the headmasters of the various schools. They did come around to give their last-minute talk to the candidates. And also I saw some of the candidates whose teachers were not around also trying to do last-minute preparation or read-up for the examination. And so for now, I can report to you that things are calm in the Upper West region regarding the BEC 2022.
All right, grateful to you. Now, Ivy Setterji is joining us in the Volta region on phone. Ivy, what's happening now in relation to the exams? Do we have any issues of people being absent from writing?
Not as far as they do not. We have currently 28,431 students writing in 109 centers in the Volta region, with about 23 disabled students or disability candidates. So far, everything is ongoing smoothly. I visited some of the schools in the municipality. That's Boo. I went to Maoli, I went to Ola, and other schools, and everything seems to be going smoothly with students trooping in to start the exam. So I spoke with one of the teachers, actually, who is heading or the head of the EP schools in the region, who said that the students are well prepared, and so far no issue has been recorded, and they are hoping that all through the week everything will go on smoothly. We'll continue to go to other schools to see how things unfold as they continue with the exam.
All right, grateful to you. Ivy Setterji is our Volta regional correspondent there. There's this news desk on the JoyNews channel. We'll take a quick break. When we return, we have latest from the world of business. Stay with us.
Hello, welcome to Business. My name is Daryl Kwao. Now, about $345,000 has been invested in the One Household, One Garden project. That's according to Alberta Akosa, who is the Executive Director of AgriHouse Foundation. The One Household, One Garden project aims to trigger national interest in home gardening and on a large scale to ensure national food security. Mr. Akosa disclosed that 5,400 people have benefited in the Northern region alone.
The Northern region, for a while now, our target was to support 2,000 women and persons with disabilities. And though we are even yet to cover Upper East and Upper West, like what we shared with you, we've been able to directly and indirectly impact on about 5,400 women and persons with disabilities across the Northern region and then the Northeast region and some of the neighboring towns as well. Financially, technically, resource-wise, we spent over 300,000 USD with support from USAID and AGRA. And then with some of the costs that we've also taken up ourselves and some of the support that we received. And so scaling it up involves a lot of technical and financial support. And with what we've done, it's a good testimony that when we are encouraged, when we are supported, we can do more. This is a national agenda. We are calling on the government to take a critical look at the One Household, One Garden project and see how we could introduce it across board. Some of the places that we've also been, like we've mentioned, I think we are talking a lot of agric, doing a lot of agric in the regions, and we are calling for a critical look at whatever is happening across the country, the remote areas, the hinterlands when it comes to embracing agriculture, and even some of the schools.
Now, in other news, the youth have been urged to choose the labor departments as their first option in their quest for jobs. Many people, especially the youth, have become victims of fraudulent job opportunities in Ghana and Europe, with some perishing in the process. Speaking during an awareness campaign in Sunyani by GIZ and the Labor Department, Bono Regional Labor Officer Isaac Mama Kaminta said guidance from the Labor Department will help end irregular migration and the dangers faced by the youth. Precious Semevo has more.
Bono region is a migration-prone area due to youth unemployment. According to the 2021 Ghana Statistical Service report, 1 in every 3 young adults is unemployed. They fall victim to middlemen with a promise of jobs in Ghana or travel outside the country, resulting in deaths and sexual exploitations. To help deal with the situation, the German Development Corporation GIZ and Labor Department of the Ministry of Employment and Labor Relations embarked on an awareness campaign exercise in Sunyani to, among others, sensitize the public on the work and functions of the Labor Department in employment support for job seekers. Bono Regional Labor Officer Isaac Mama Kaminta wants the youth to consider the Labor Department as their first option to help save them from the dangers associated with irregular migration.
Labor Department exists to help job seekers find suitable employment as well as help employers to find suitable applicants to fill their vacancies. And also, even if you come to our offices and you don't want a formal employment, there are opportunities available that we can support you to start your own business with the support from GIZ, and also to train people with some basic skills.
GIZ, through the Migration and Employment Promotion Project, is collaborating with the Labor Department to build capacity, improve infrastructure, promote employment and raise awareness. Joshua Hiaba is the Bono Regional Advisor for the project.
Since the Labor Department plays a very important role in employment promotion, the Migration and Employment Promotion Project of GIZ is working around the clock to empower the Labor Department to be able to function effectively. And through that, we are rebranding some of their offices. We are building 2 new regional offices in Goso and Techiman. Only 7% of the public knew about the Labor Department and what they do. So this activity we are doing today is actually to sensitize the entire public about the Labor Department and the functions and their roles that they play. And more importantly, direct young people, job seekers, to the Labor Department to actually solicit for the needed help.
The campaign is on the theme, promoting employability and employment in Ghana. Our youth, our jobs, our future. Precious Semevo, JoyNews, Sunyani.
And the Ghana Investment Promotion Center says there are new investment opportunities springing up despite the current economic conditions. Here's more from the GIPC Club 100 Awards.
Ghana Investment Promotion Center ranked ZPay as #1 in an annual compilation of the top 100 companies in Ghana to give due recognition to successful enterprise building. The rankings were based on vigorous exercise that focused on size, profitability, and growth of companies in the year under review. Chief Executive Officer for the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, Yofi Grant, commended the private sector for their immense support in saving the Ghanaian economy in the midst of the COVID-19 and the Russia-Ukraine war.
We have survived, and the private sector in Ghana has had to change significantly to accommodate the exigencies of the pandemic and what has happened thereafter. Entrepreneurs and businesses were compelled to seek out and adopt new strategies to modify their business operations to remain productive and stable and to grow. From the ways work was conducted to where the workforce was conducted, it is safe to say that virtual work and other innovations have become the new normal. And for us at the GIPC, investment is not an activity, it's a relationship. And through all the hard times and the good times, we have tried to ensure that that relationship is maintained.
On this part, senior advisor to the president, Yao Safumafo, said more investment in the private sector of the economy will help the country recover from global shocks.
We can see signs of recovery, and we are happy to say that the revitalization and transformation phase from 2021 to 2023 aims at embracing productive sectors of the economy via competitive import substitution and economic diversification. The phase is grouped into implementation clusters as follows. 1. Supporting commercial farming and attracting educated youth onto agriculture. 2. Developing engineering tools and digital economy industries. 3. Fast-tracking digitalization. 4. Building Ghana's light manufacturing sector. 5. Developing Ghana's housing and construction industry. 6. Developing a vibrant tourism industry in Ghana. 7. Periodically reviewing and optimizing the implementation of government flagship and key programs, and to ultimately establish Ghana as a regional industrial hub for West Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, in addition, government is also working hard to improve the infrastructure in our cities, roads, railways, ports, aviation, communication, as well as the rural areas, where we must add value to our time and make it easier to do business in our country.
The Multimedia Group Limited was presented with a certificate for its immense contribution and providing an extensive coverage for the annual awards. This year's event is on the theme Ghana's Private Sector, a catalyst for post-pandemic economic transformation.
And that's your business update. Sports is coming up next. Don't go anywhere.
So welcome back from the break. Time for us to bring you sports, and Lawrence is already in the studio with what happened over the weekend. Hi, good morning.
Good morning, Bruce.
How are you?
I'm good. It's not so much of a good news if you had to folk fan, because the club just crashed out of Africa despite winning against AS Royal Bamako. Ahead of the game, people were probably calling for the miracle of Elwak some years ago when Hasselfolk overturned a huge deficit at the Elwak Stadium to qualify. Yesterday, I felt they had a chance, probably not the biggest of chances, but then they had a slight chance of giving to the fans what they were looking for. In the first half, for instance, I feel that was when Hasselfolk played quite a good game. However, they were unable to utilize the opportunities that came their way. It's a question of being clinical in front of goal, being able to dictate play, and then master courage to take risk. I think that is something Hasselfolk didn't have yesterday. Because if you watch the first leg, which was played in Mali a week ago, they went into the game quite open, and which is why I thought they lost, because they took so much risk. And then playing at the Accra Sports Stadium, where you have a whole lot of fans behind you, that is where the real risk should be taken, because you've lost 3-0 already. There's nothing to lose. It's just about you going into the game with the right mentality, with the right edge to overturn that deficit.
No, but is the pressure from the fans not a factor in limiting players in taking chances?
Sabo, when you play for a club as huge as Accra Hasselfolk, you should be ready for anything. The only time the players I felt got the motivation was when Samuel Budi was around. You had not seen such fights in any of the games they had played in the Premier League or even in the first leg against Bamako. But yesterday, Samuel Boydou's presence was kind of motivating. And this is why I feel he should have been allowed to play these 2 games even before he was shown the exit. Because in comes David Oklu, who hasn't got any experience when it comes to playing on the African terrain.
No, but people are also talking about professionalism in terms of what he did. That what he did was not professional. There is someone who's coach now. You don't need to do what you did on the pitch.
There are times that when you have been in charge of a club before, you know what it takes to get the best out of these players. With all due respect to David Oklu, I feel he's coach Asante Kotoko. I feel he doesn't have the mentality, or he doesn't have the ability to get the players into a mojo that they will bring out their best. Samuel Boydou was just on the field. Even what makes it crazy was the fact that fans even carried him, fans were praising him, fans were shouting his name. What does it tell you?
No, aren't these the same fans who crucified him?
Obviously,
when he was not getting
you won't have everyone cheering him on. It was a case of that. But then I feel he should have been allowed to play these 2 games before he was shown the exit, because he knows his players. And then if there's anything at all, I don't think he would have.
No, but it also brings into question the standard of football in Ghana now.
No doubt.
All our teams that go to Africa do not perform. You know, when this happens, Kotoko fans, obviously I'm a Kotoko fan, so I obviously rejoice in what happened. But if you look at it from the other side, it is not a good thing that we should be rejoicing in each other's failure. Yeah. We should rather look at what needs to be done for Ghana to be that force on the continent again. Now it looks like we've lost it. We don't have that mojo again. What must happen? What should change?
Last week we discussed this, if not last week, 2 weeks ago. I think it boils down to the investments we have in this country, as well as the infrastructure that we have. If you don't have the better system, or a better system, a better infrastructure, and then a better investment going into our football, we won't have the best of the players. You will see players moving. And then the funny thing is, they don't even go to the Europes. They move to Tanzania. They move to Ethiopia. What does it tell you? It's just the money they get. It's some little investment. You know, it's quite worrying. I feel we should do more if we see football to be one of the biggest sports we have in this country. We should be able to invest. If we are not doing that, then we are slowly or gradually going back. Imagine your club is going to Africa. They go list 3-0, and then in a home game where you are to televise for your fans to watch, you say you don't give the right television station to show the match. That won't push fans to the stadium. We've got to learn better past these things. It won't bring any good to us. And I feel it's high time that Ghanaian clubs really paid attention to what playing in Africa really means. You can't qualify for Africa and then tend to send your best players. It doesn't happen anyway. Imagine Real Madrid qualifying for the Champions League, and then prior to the start of the season, they sell Karim Benzema, they sell Vinicius, all in the name of making profits. It doesn't happen anyway. We have to go past that and then get the best out of our clubs.
Okay, all right, so that is fine. Let's see what will change. But again, over the weekend, another very interesting contest. I mean, there were 2 interesting contests. Manchester City, Liverpool, and then when you go to La Liga, the El Clasico.
I'll pick on that one, the El Clasico.
Okay.
I know most fans probably will agree when I say heading into the game, Madrid were favorites. Barca have not had the best of games in the last 3 they've played. Yes, they could be winning, but then my problem is they are Lewandowski dependent. Once Lewandowski is not making things happening, they are off. And yesterday, it was a clear case. And I like the way Carlo Ancelotti approached the game. Get David Alaba to control the back and get Edel Militao to put pressure on Lewandowski. The moment the latter happened, Barca were not able to create. And the only time Barca had a chance to create was when Militao followed Lewandowski out of the box, and then Barca got an opportunity to create a chance to score through Ferran Torres.
That's what big players do.
I feel Real Madrid although they are not as good as last season, but before they've started the season well, 14 games unbeaten, top of La Liga, top of their group in the Champions League. Carlo Ancelotti is doing some marvelous work that probably people are already shouting him as the best coach in the last 3 years.
Okay.
I do agree, because he's got Real Madrid playing quite well.
let's just say that this guy Drake also lost an $8 million Canadian wage bet because he predicted that Barca would
David Alaba had the message for him. It was like Real Madrid was the best way to go.
Okay, anyway. And also Liverpool were able to hold Man City. I'm happy that they stopped Haaland from scoring.
Manchester United fan and we are happy.
Well, yes, of course.
You know, Haaland has failed to score or assist in 2 games this season.
Okay.
Guess the games.
Which games?
Both have come against Liverpool in the Community Shield and in the Premier League. So maybe looks like Liverpool have an angle.
Exactly, maybe. All right, so that's it for sports, and that's how we wrap up today's bulletin. There's more news on myjoyonline.com. My name is Samuel Kojo. Do enjoy the rest of our programs and enjoy your morning.